what are we doing in the black community? The number one consumer of a Mercedes-Benz is us. Us. The number one consumer of a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton, us. And they don't even advertise. Why is it that in the black community, we are always the number one consumer, but we're not the number one creators?
So you just said it, the fact that there's consumers and creators. For so long, we assume success based on consumption.
Welcome back to Closing the Gap, the truth about black wealth. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton, founder and president of Hamilton Wealth Advisors here locally in Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, Huntsville area, growing and expanding throughout the Southeast. I got a very special guest here today. My partner, Mr. Terry Mills, T. Diddy himself is in the building. He's going to grace us with, his presence today and some valuable information. He's going to really kick us some game and some knowledge and helping us break down this real estate thing. Of course, a lot of people got questions about it now. Everybody wants to get into it, but want to know how to get into it. I just want to thank you for being here today, my brother. 1911 in the building. 1911 in the building. They told me there's only two real frats. Both of them started in 1911, so it's respect.
We leave it right now.
We leave it there. But we're gonna kick it off, man. And just want to tell me a little bit about yourself, man, and how you got into the real estate game, bro.
Yeah, man. So Terry Mills, Birmingham native. Played ball with this guy at UAB. Well, I was on the team with this guy at UAB. Scout team, middle linebacker, offensive tackle, man, decided to hit the dude every day. So I said, hey, let me at least be his friend. So maybe, we can get through practice. But I started off in criminal justice, and then had a 9-year career in that. I actually did very well. And then suffered a layoff, and after that layoff, found real estate as my pathway. And man, here I am 9 years later.
Man, so it's not an easy career path to get into, because I understand, much like my career path is, you kind of fall into it on accident.
Yep.
You just kind of find your passion. I'm real big on people, chasing their passion and their gift. But real estate, much like the world of finance, they say it's an eat what you kill type business.
Exactly.
It's not a guaranteed salary, but there's no ceiling. Right. So if you're a go-getter, you're a people person, and you want it bad enough, it's a great opportunity for you. So just tell me kind of, for you, what drew you in? Like, what keeps you going?
Yeah. So when I first got my license, I honestly got it for part-time money. Like, send my wife on the trip, maybe buy a Louis bag, try to keep up with you. But anyway, like I said, I suffered a layoff. And so at that time, I felt like this was all I had, or this was God pushing me into where I should be, right? So I started off as a part-time agent, man, went 6 months, only closed one deal, broke, ended up filing bankruptcy, cars got repoed. However, that was the motivation I needed, right? Because it's like you said, eat what you kill. So you're gonna sit here and just feel sorry for yourself, or you're gonna figure it out. And I think having those humble beginnings in real estate is really what helped me. And so I started off just being a single agent, then grew into a team, and here we are now, flipping houses and just investing in real estate and just, trying to make it happen.
Man, well, I got a question, because I'm in the marketplace, of course, and of course he's going to be my realtor.
I know that's right.
To my right, he's going to take care of me, great care of me. But for all the people out there that right now, they're looking at the housing market, and of course it's extremely hot, and prices are sky high, and interest rates are super low. So of course you're hearing that it's a seller's market.
Truly a seller's market.
But if I'm a buyer, what should I look for?
So here's what I'm telling all my buyers now. There are no deals. Let's start there.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, if you'd have came to me, I'd have got it, under asking, would have got all the closing costs covered, probably could have got some furniture, the big screen, the riding lawnmower, all the above, right?
Okay.
The market's totally shifted now. Because it's so lopsided, my job now is to just get you a house. Because several people want the same houses because of the lack of inventory, right? Something had to do with COVID. You got people that was going to put their house on the market last year and didn't, right? But you still got the government and whoever dropping interest rates making more buyers. So it's just making a crazy frenzy. So it's very common now to write an offer 20, 30, 40,000 over asking price. That is actually what's going to get it done, and it's, honestly, it took me a few months to adjust to that, right? Because I'm looking at, most of my clients are friends and family and referrals. So people I care about, I'm telling you, hey, Will, the house 220, you're going to pay 270.
Wow.
Oh, and I'm not getting no closing costs covered. And we probably won't get an inspection. And you're looking at me like, What I need you for again?
Well, I'm actually glad you said that, man, because that's one of the questions I think a lot of people have. Of course, you had a lot of people, gravitating to the real estate market, want to get in because everybody, wants to make a little bit of money, especially make some on the side, kind of how
they think
you started out, and they think it's easy.
So Facebook and think we
So tell me, for myself being a novice, to real estate, tell me, and from your perspective, what is the value that you bring as a realtor?
Right. Mainly knowledge of the market, right? Okay. So me being able to just walk you through that scenario. If you don't have a realtor that's actively selling, they will not get an offer accepted in this market. I promise you. I mean, you got agents like myself averaging 50, 60 homes a year, barely doing half of that now because of how hard it is. So that knowledge is one thing, but not only that, but the being relatable, right? Being able to say, I've been there, right? I know what you're going through. I can give you a great example of what I had to do. And so the thing about being hiring a realtor, you want somebody that you could trust. That's really the main thing. It's kind of like what you do, right? We all technically do the same thing on paper. Like if I brought 5 realtors in and we all wrote down what we do, we about the same. Right. But you want somebody that's going to represent you, going to talk to you, meet you where you are, whether that's here or there. Right. And so for me, that's mainly the thing I think that's helped me be so successful so far.
Okay. Well, like I said, that's a lot of great information, man, and some I'm kind of storing away. So when I come see you, I know I need to look at my watch and let the time go by a little bit more because I don't know if I'm ready to pay, 20, 30, 40 grand over asking. It's like with that, I mean, you mentioned a couple things as far as, inspections.
Right.
And you mentioned, of course, closing costs and, of course, the overall value and price of the home. So, tell me a little about the things that a home buyer should be looking for before purchasing a home. What should they have in place? Because I think a lot of people, they just, we're trusting that someone else is going to do the legwork. And, obviously we need to have some of that applied knowledge on our own to make sure that, we can ask the right type of questions.
Well, I would start with that, understanding what you don't know, right? And you don't know that until you start asking. So when you come see me, we'll have a consultation first, and I'll walk you through the whole home buying process and say, hey, you have to have earnest money, you have to have down payment, you have to have closing costs. We got to get the house inspected. And as I'm having this conversation with you, then you can say, ooh, I don't know if I got that, or I do have that, right? And so it kind of prepares you for what's about to happen. Because once you get in the game, it goes fast. It goes very fast, And so the main thing is, I would tell people, trust your realtor. Stop trusting everybody that does not sell real estate, which a lot of people do, which I don't understand. You got your dad that had his license in '88, and your other aunt that you didn't use, you listen to her over your realtor. Like, stop that. If you came to hire a realtor, trust your realtor and let them be the expert in the market.
Once again, people, Google don't fact check. Find your professional.
That's right.
They have access to information that you will not be able to get on your own and can provide insight and relatability that's priceless. We'll be back at you in a minute. Welcome to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, where our goal is to change the financial landscape of the African American community by providing the best of the best in financial professionals to help close the gap on financial wellness, wealth creation, and wealth transference. We're continuing to expand and grow our reach and add qualified advisors to our team. Help us to teach our community how to create generational wealth. We're looking for passionate, selfless, and professional advisors that pride themselves in the core beliefs that education plus expertise leads to proper execution. So if you think this opportunity may be for you, ask yourself this question: what is your why? And if the answer is you want to be a professional successor advisor that makes a positive impact in the lives of all you come into contact with, contact us about joining our team today. As we look to move forward, continue to be a blessing to those who would never come into contact with by creating a successful financial plan today. Welcome back. We're back here with Mr. Terry Mills in Closing the Gap. We're going to pick up where we left off. And we want to jump into some more topics, man, because, of course, people got a lot of questions. Right. And we know you got all the answers, and we just want to kind of dive into it. And, one thing I've been hearing a lot about, of course, with the rise in home prices and, of course, the access to capital, being at an all-time high, interest rates being at all-time lows. Right. What kind of credit score do I need to have, and how much money do I need to have put away to kind of get into a home?
Man, it's amazing because people have this assumption that they have to have a 800 credit score, 30 grand in the bank. And the reality is, if that was the case, I wouldn't be in business. So that's not true. Most banks only require 640 credit score.
Wow.
And I say only, that's relative, but that's not very high considering what you're about to get. As far as money, there are some programs where you can get 100% financing. I know some banks where people are getting grants on top of down payment assistance, where they're actually leaving the closing table with a check.
Wow.
So there's so many different resources out there now that people don't know about. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do is get that out there, because that can be the difference of you being a homeowner versus not being a homeowner, just knowing, what programs are out there. But 640 credit score, I would say bare minimum in this market, like $5,000.
Wow. I mean, once again, people, I need y'all to hear this. Access to the right information yields results. Trying to be a jack of all trades and master of none will not get you there.
No.
When you talk to professionals like Mr. Mills, he gives you access to opportunities. He gives you access to his credibility and his network, which everyone does not have. And with having that, creates favorable results. So people, understand, we preach this all the time on this podcast. It's all about seeking out professionals, getting professional help, people that have credibility, people have been there, done that are tried and true, certified, licensed professionals. Not your cousin that does it over here and over there from time to time. They flip 1 or 2 houses, now they think they're a real estate guru. This man does it on a day in, day out basis, not just for himself, but has a team of people, selling houses around the metropolitan area. So, get with this man. So, we want to jump back in and, one of the things you talked about, of course, kind of the credit score, which was actually a shock to me, of course, having a 640. I'm like, I would assume right now, I heard the credit scores required were going up. You needed a minimum 700, 720 to get into a house. So that's news for me. Now, if you got a 640, I don't know if I advise you to buy a house. You might want to work on that a little bit before you get in.
That was the minimum, people. It's like being a C student versus A. Your mom wants you to get the A.
Yeah, shoot for the A. So we want to try to get that up because you want you to have your finances in order, because it ain't just about getting the house, it's about keeping the house.
And the lifestyle on top of that.
Absolutely.
Everything is cheaper when you got good credit.
Man, they say it again. As far as, the cash down payments, you touched on a little bit, as far as if I'm a new home buyer.
Right.
And say I got a 680 credit score. I'm looking to get a house that's $200,000, and I got $10,000 saved up. Is that sufficient to be able to get into a home?
Yeah. So typically, first-time buyers will go through what's called an FHA loan, right? FHA will require 3.5%. So just for simple math, you got a $200,000 house, 3.5% of that is your down payment. It's like $65,000, $7,000, right? In a normal market, we could get that seller to pay your closing costs. But as I mentioned, I hadn't really seen that often these days. Your closing costs would be another $2.5 to $3. So I would say a good $12,000, $13,000 total with what you would need between down payment and closing costs to make the deal happen.
Okay.
Now, before you go any further, a lot of people are pulling this money out of their 401k. And I know you know about this. And I said that on purpose because a lot of people don't know they can. So you have people that have the money but don't even realize they have the money. Because $12,000 is a lot of money. However, you got it sitting over here and just didn't even know you had access to it.
So he's not advising you to take it from your 401k. But what he's saying is understand all the rules to the game. Right. Understand it may be more beneficial for you financially to have a home where you're paying less renting by utilizing that 401k money, paying those income tax or that penalty depending on your age and what that may be.
Right.
So evaluate your situation, but you can't do that without talking to a professional first.
Right. It's just good to know your resources, man. And you hit on something as far as paying rent versus owning. So right now, average apartment, 2 bedrooms, probably between $1,200 to $1,500 in a decent or a nice neighborhood, right? Do you realize because interest rates are so low that you can get a $300,000 house for about $1,500 a month right now?
Wow.
So just put that in perspective. You probably got a 900 square foot apartment versus a 2,500 square foot house.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
huge.
I mean?
That's huge.
And so if you look at what you're paying out monthly, you're paying it out anyway. Why not be building that equity and having something that you can own?
And that's true, especially for our community. Of course, here we're all about closing the wealth gap. And of course, home ownership has shown to be one of the most important factors in wealth creation among families, among individuals, and growing their wealth long term. So that's definitely something that we have to become, more aware of. We have to understand the benefits of owning versus renting. Understanding the policies and procedures that go into place as far as getting a home, and with all that said and done, with all the knowledge that you bring, how much should I pay a realtor?
So here's the cool thing. Now, when you say how much should you, that's a different answer from
Exactly. How much are you?
right. So here's the cool thing. People don't understand, as a buyer's agent, you don't pay me to represent you. The seller pays the agents. So just make it simple. When you hire me to buy that dream house that you're about to hire, and y'all see this on TV,
You got it on tape.
you're not going to pay me.
Okay.
The agents that's representing the house that you're buying is paying me part of their commission.
Okay.
So technically, to have representation on the buy side is free. Now I say technically because your loan is funding the whole deal. However, you never write that check. Now, the flip side, when you hire an agent to sell your house, that's where we talk about commission. And it's typically between, we're not supposed to say typically, but typically between 7 and 5%.
Okay.
And we take that 7 or 5% and split it with another agent that brings us the deal. So that's how everybody gets paid.
Okay. Okay.
And nobody gets paid till closing. So I think that's important to know. We do not get paid until closing. So what that means is you can run me for 3 months and not buy, and guess what? I didn't make a dime. So that's why we take this serious, because this is what we do. It's not a hobby. You know, some people call you and say, hey, can I come look at this house right quick? And that's why we have to ask questions to make sure you really can buy, because this is what we do and it's not a hobby.
Well, like I said, kicking out a lot of great information. You can see exactly why y'all need to check out T. Diddy and T. Mills Realty Group here in the Birmingham metro area. We'll be right back with you in a second. Thanks.